So the first thing I'm going to do is run screen, and I'll show you why in a minute. And now we need to connect over to our core instance here. And what we're going to do is locate wsadmin.sh. Now that stands for the WebSphere administration script, essentially, is what that is. And if you wanted to open, you can use either of these two. However, it's better to use the profiles script. So what I'm going to do is run this command, which is to cd into this directory. Now the easiest way to do this, of course, is just copy this and paste it in. But if you wanted to, you can do these an expansion. So you say, I want to get the dir name of, and then you say, well, I want to get do the locate that we just did, and we're looking for wsadmin. You clearly don't have to do it this way if you don't want to. And then we're going to pipe that into sed, and all that's going to do is look for the second output, the second line here. This is essentially a way to avoid using the mouse. You don't have to do this again. And that will cd us into the right directory. Now, once you're in there, you would run wsadmin. Or, as I was saying before, if you like, you can just run any of those too. So actually, you could just do a locate wsadmin. So let's do that, wsadmin. And you can limit that down to just the first result. That would just give you the first one, and you could just run it right there. Now, what that is going to do is bring you into it is going to connect to the deployment manager, and it's going to let you issue commands. Now, for our purposes, the way we did that, we're actually running this one. If you wanted to, you could run this second one instead. And as you get into more complicated scenarios, it's usually better to use the one in the profile you need. But let's keep going from here. And what we're going to do is enter this command, admin task help wim management commands. And this will list out all the commands that you can issue for controlling your users and their groups. The problem with wsadmin is that if you hit the up arrow or the left arrow, that's not going to work in PuTTY. So it's often best to just copy and paste your commands directly in here so that you can edit them in some other editor. However, you can also do an echo, so you can echo out whatever your command is, and then pipe it into this, our shell, right? So you could do this, like so, and issue your command. So this is the same command. This takes a little bit longer to run, but you get the advantage of being able to edit the command right there. And notice it's going to take a second, and then it's going to run the command and then output the command all in one shot. So this gives you the advantage, as I was saying before, of being able to move to left and right and edit your commands instead of seeing up arrow, down arrow not work as you would expect. In any case, I'm going to open up our command prompt here, or our wsadmin script, and we're now going to run a slightly different command. And really what we want to do here is we're going to start out by simply listing all of the users. So that's possible by doing a $admin task. We'll do a search users, and we're going to do a cin. This actually is not quite what we want to do. I'll explain that in a second. You want to do a -uid star and enter, and notice the output here. So we see a list of all of the users. UID indicates the user ID. Now if you wanted to look for groups, you'd be looking for cin. And the reason for that is if you go to global security and then you go down to configure like we did before, and then you go down to supported entity types, you'll see that UID is indeed the person account and that a cin refers to a group. Now that said, if you come in and you do a cin star, you will still get a listing of all of your users. So just keep in mind though that is the official distinction between the two. So if you go to admin task search groups and you do a -cin star, now you can see something else, more what you would expect, which is a list of all of the groups. So now you can see a list of the users, you can see a list of the groups. The question you might ask is, well, if I have a given user, how many groups, which groups is that user in? And to figure that out, you can enter this command here, which is get membership of user, and that would we're listing out was manager here, and you can see all of the groups that user is a member of. Now, if you wanted to see something slightly different, which is to say all of the members of a given group, then you can issue the get members of group here. And I added, or am searching for CF administrators, and sure enough, there we see a list of all the users in that particular group. Now, if what you want to do is change a user's password, things are slightly different. You need to issue this command here, which is, again, admin task, and then we're going to do an update user. Then you provide a unique name, and in order to do that, because we're talking about users, you do a UID, not ACN, and then you give it the distinguished name that we've talked about before, which is CFM admin, and the organizational the O, the sort of the element here in the tree, and then you give it a password that you want it to be. And when you hit enter, you will see that this user has had the password updated, and it tells you which user it found. So the reason I used screen before was that sometimes it's nice to have some output on the top and some output on the bottom. And so what you can do here is hit Control A and then capital S, which will give you a new screen to work with, and then hit Control A and then go to Tab to go down to the next one, and then Control A and C to create a new screen. And now you can go back into the core machine, so we'll do that, and now you can run those same commands as before. So again, you can do a locate, and I'll keep things simple here, and I will just copy and paste that so we can get into there, and I'll just do a search users. So essentially what we've got now is on the top we have a list of the ownership of users, so get membership of a given user, so you can see basically who is it or which groups a user has, and then here on the bottom you can see all of the users. So this is a nice way to split the information into two. It's also useful a lot of times to have say a log on the bottom, or whatever you might need to have two different screens on one PuTTY session for. Hopefully this clears up a little bit about how to do user management using the WIM and VMM system and the graphical and CLI versions for WebSphere applications over.